In programming, a block is defined as the scope enclosed by the open and the close curly. So in this Java class with the name scope test, this open curly here and this close curly here, this pair of open and close curly defines the scope of the Java class with the name scope test. And this scope is also called the Java class block. Now for main method, which is this, the scope of main method is from the open curly, which is this, to this close curly. So this part here, from that open curly to this close curly, this is the scope of the main method. And we could also call this the block of the main method, the main method block. So for example, if we have in here, inside the Java class scope test, we have a class field with a name number with an initial value of 101. Okay, so number here is called a class field. While inside the main method, this one, in this block of the main method, we have a local variable of integer type with an initial value of 102. So this number here is a class field, okay, number set to 101, while this number here is a local variable. Okay, so the second number is a local variable with value 102. Now you might be asked, will there be no conflict with these two variables since they have the same name? This is number and this is also number, and this is also integer type, this is also integer type. Are they going to have some conflict? The answer is no, because this number, this integer number with a value 101, the scope of this is the Java class. That's the block or the scope of this integer variable number with an initial value of 101. And this is not just any ordinary variable, this is a class field because it is declared outside any method but inside the Java class. So this is a class field. While the second number with integer type and with an initial value of 102, this is a local variable because the scope of this one or the block where it is declared is inside the main method. It's inside the main method. So they don't have any conflict. In fact, they have separate memory locations in the RAM because they have different scopes or they have different blocks. The first number is declared inside the block of the Java class, while the second number is declared inside another block, which is the block of the main method. And so, when this main method is executed, we have here a println statement to display the value of number. So what is the output in here? Which number are we referring to? Is it the number declared in the block of main method or the number declared outside the main method, which is the class field number with a value of 101? So what then is the output in here? So the first question for you to answer in your assignment is, what is the output of this main method println? In here we have a Java class with a name calculation. So since this is the Java class name, when you save this, the file name would be also calculation.java. And we have here main method. And so the question is this an executable Java class? Can we run this? That's the second question for your assignment. And third question, is a Java class without a main method executable? Yes or no? So your answer would be yes or no. Inside the main method, we have local variables, quantity, integer type of initial value 10, and another local variable stack, still an integer type with an initial value of 10 also. The third local variable, total, which is also an integer type, is set to the value of the sum of quantity and stack. When this println is executed, what is the output of this println? That's the fourth question for your assignment. So the value that will be stored here, so this is the string to be displayed, and the plus here is just a concatenation, meaning you have here a string and this integer value is converted to string, and these two are appended. Okay, so when you concat, it's like you append two or more. In this case, there are two or more string values. Now, what we have here on the left side are examples of expressions. What is an expression? It performs calculation or evaluation using operators. And normally, expressions are containing several operands and operators, like what we have in here, a plus 1. We call this the assignment operator. This is to assign the right side value of the assignment operator to the variable on the left side. So a becomes a plus 1. So if a is initially 5, then a here becomes 6. And I plus plus is simply to increase the value of I. It is equivalent to I gets I plus 1. So if I is 3, I becomes 4. And then this one sets the value of x to 0. This one sets the value of x to 20. And the last one would, what do you call to this? We call this from C programming language. We learned that this is called a compound operator. That is equivalent to when you say B asterisk assignment operator and then 2, that is simply equivalent to saying B gets B times 2. When the left side variable in the expression in the assignment statement appears on the right side expression as one of the operands of the last to be performed operator, this is both first and last to be performed because it is the only operator in the right side expression of the assignment operator. So if that is the case, then you can write it this way. Okay, we call this the shorthand assignment statement. And we call this a compound operator consisting of two symbols. This one is the multiplication and this one is the assignment operator. Now recall in the previous lecture video, we discussed that there are 8 primitive data types in Java programming language. And these are the 8 as listed here in the table. This is the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and the 8th. This 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the first, second, third, fourth, and the 7th here in the list belong to the first group, which is the integral group. These are data types whose values can be enumerated. Second is the floating point data types or the real numbers, which are number 5 and number 6, float and double. And the third group is the Boolean, where this one belongs. So for each primitive data type, these are the corresponding memory size allocated to each one. For byte, that is, it occupies 8 bits. Okay, so remember that 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. And the value that it can take or can be set to it or assigned to it would be from negative 128 to positive 127. Short is 16 bits, integer type is 32 bits, long is 64 bits, float and double, which are the real numbers, are 32 bits and 64 bits respectively. Character is 16 bits and Boolean type is 8 bits. So are the data types in C programming language, which are character, integer, float, and double, are they the same with in terms of RAM allocation or memory space allocation for those data types in Java programming language? So recall that the character data type in C programming language is allocated 8 bits or 1 byte. And in C programming language, integer is 16 bits or 2 bytes. And float in C programming language is 32 bits or 4 bytes. In Java, it's the same, right? As you can see here in the table, float is 32 bits, the same in C programming language. And for double type in C programming language, this is 64 bits or 8 bytes. Now, the same also in Java programming language. So for the floating point data types such as float and double, the real number data types, C programming language and Java have the same memory allocation. But for character and integer and all the rest of this, they are not the same. So character in Java is, as you can see here in the table, it is 16 bits or that is 2 bytes. And in Java, integer is 32 bits. This is 32 bits or it is 4 bytes. So integer and character have bigger memory allocation in Java programming language than in C programming language. So the fifth question for you to answer in your assignment is you're going to compare and contrast these 4 data types in C programming language and Java programming language. Now, aside from memory allocation, you also compare and contrast any other aspects of these 4 data types in C programming language and in Java. In this given example, we have here inside the main method two variables b1 and b2 of type Boolean. And so since the data type of b1 and b2 is Boolean, then we can set true or false value to b1 or b2. Remember that for Boolean data type, any variable of Boolean type can be assigned the value true or false. So after we have declared these Boolean variables b1 and b2, we set true as the value of b1 and false as the value of b2. And then we display them here using println. So when we execute this program, the output is true for b1 and false for b2. So take note again that literal means constant or value. Okay, so Boolean literal means Boolean value, and this refers to true or false, or it has the same meaning as yes or no, the true and the false. But of course, we don't use yes or no as values for Boolean variable, but we use true or false. For the character primitive data type, character literal refers to character value. And remember that a character literal or character value is a single character that is expressed with two single quotes. Say for example this one, this is a character literal or a character value. This is also a character literal or character value, or this one, or this one, or this, or this one. So all of these are called character literals or character values. And as you can see, they are just single character or single symbol enclosed in single quotes. And in this example, we have here three variables A, B, C, which are type character, and they are initially set values. For A, it is this character literal C. For variable B, it is this character literal, the first letter of the hiragana alphabet. This hiragana is native Japanese alphabet, and this is the first letter equivalent to A or A in English alphabet. And this is new line character. So it is written this way, like yen symbol, because it was not recognized as backslash, but that is actually backslash n. So these two character variables A and B, or these two character literals, are what we call the normal characters, which can be displayed on the screen. While this one, the third one, which is the backslash n, we call this the escape sequence, or we call this a control character. So what is a control character? It is indicated with escape sequence. Escape sequence are, one of the example is backslash n. Recall in C programming language, we discussed examples of escape sequences, and these are backslash n to move the cursor to the next line. Okay, we call this the new line character. This is tab character. It will cause the cursor to jump to tab size or tab spaces like indentation. And backslash A, this would trigger the system, the computer system sound. It is A because it stands for alert. When, say for example, in C programming language, if you put that inside like backslash A, it would, when that is executed, it would cause a beep sound. Okay, you would hear a beep sound because the system sound is triggered. So these are called control characters. They are not intended to be displayed on the screen. They are intended to cause some actions to be done. That's why it's called control character, because it would cause some actions or some operations, not merely displayed on the screen. So these control characters are not merely displayed on the screen, but they would cause some actions to be done. Now this is wrong. Why is this wrong? Because D is declared as data type character, and this is wrong because A should be enclosed in single quotes, not double quotes. If it is double quotes, in this case, it is not character anymore. A, this is actually a string literal or a string value. So it is wrong because you cannot assign a string literal or string value to a character type variable. What you are going to assign to a character type variable like D should be a character literal, just like this one or this. Okay, these examples here. So this is a wrong example. These are correct examples. In this next example, we declared a character type variable alphabet and initially set to this literal value A. This is another character variable hiragana, which is initially set to that character, the first letter in the hiragana alphabet, and another character variable kanji, which is set to that character value. And when you use print to display all these three variables values, then we have here the value of alphabet, we have here the value of hiragana, and we have here the value of kanji. Now, although that's actually two symbols, but that is treated as one character, just like this is treated as a single character, which we call as the new line character, consisting of two symbols, the backslash and letter N. So again, that is treated as one character. Now, all these three values appear on one line because we use print, not print ln. We have here examples of string literals or string values. Again, the term literal means values. So what are string literals? Two or more letters cannot be stored in a character type because a character type is just a single symbol enclosed in single quotes like this one. So if there are two or more characters or letters that cannot be stored in a variable of character type, it should be stored in a variable of type string. What is a string literal? String is expressed in two double quotes. This double quotes. So it may consist of letters, may consist of one letter, may consist of empty string. So any symbol actually, like this one, okay, this is a string literal or a string value. This is not the same as the character A. String A is not the same as character A. This string is not the same as the character 3, and it's not also the same as the integer 3. This is string type, this is character type, this is integer type. Okay, so again, this is string type, this is character type, and this is integer type. So they are not the same. And it may also be empty, like in this case, this is an empty string. This empty string is not the same as this string having one space symbol. Okay, so this is empty while this one has one symbol, and that symbol is the white space. We have here some examples of declaring string variables. Okay, so these variables here, A, B, C, D, are string variables, or they are string types, and these are the initial values or the initial string literal values of the four string variables. In this example, we declared two string variables. The first one is position, and the initial string literal or string value assigned to it is this one, the string secretary, and another string variable name, and the initial value is the string Mary Jones. So when we use print ln to display this, what's the output? The value of this variable name is this one, Mary Jones. That's the output in there. And then we concat this string with space is space A and another space. So we have here space is space A space, and then we concat the value of the variable position, which is secretary. So that's why we have here secretary, and then we concat the period and a space. So we have here period and a space. Okay, thus we have this output.